world premiere tournament of Core Disruption. One semifinals in the books, second one coming up next. And Joey, it is going to be Thonk going up against Savage Academy here in the second semifinals, and the winner has a date with the #1 seed, Morons Cubed.
Yeah, Morons Cubed looking extremely strong in that last matchup, once again taking a 2-0 victory. But both these teams not teams to sleep on either, as Savage Academy came out very strong, as did Thonk, kind of really adapting to that railgun strategy and taking that on as their own.
Absolutely, and we kind of saw it a little bit in the last semifinal as well. What actually plays out better, that aggressive tactic or that kind of wait-and-see kind of play? We saw both teams come out with two very different strategies here. We had Morons Cube come out and they were ultra aggressive, and they stayed ultra aggressive. I think that's one of the big key things, is that if you're going to go the aggressive route, you have to stay aggressive. You can't make that change halfway through the map and decide, okay, now we're going to play passive. No, you have to stick with it through thick and thin. That's what we saw, and that's what's got them to the grand finals. We'll see if these teams now take that into consideration, as now Thonk and Savage Academy have a chance now for guaranteed money by winning this series.
Absolutely. Both teams going full Scorpions again. Thonk going heavy on the railgun. Every single weapon slot taken up by the railgun. On the opposing side, we do have quite a few lasers coming out. It seems to be a common strategy today, as well as some interesting changes coming in from the side of Savage Academy compared to what we last saw.
Absolutely. Thonk again sticking with what got them here into the semifinals, and that is that railgun on top of their Scorpion tanks. Again, Link with that impressive 2v1 secure game one back in the quarterfinals for Thonk. The real hero there to help Thonk punch their ticket here into the semifinals. Now going up against Savage Academy. It's both teams now coming out of their hangars, and the second semifinals underway here at the University of Maryland. We'll see how both of these teams play. Again, both these teams, just a reminder, in the quarterfinals did play a little bit more passive than what we've seen before. So we'll see if any of these teams change up and try to be more aggressive. The first shot coming out from Killer Skittles on the side of Savage Academy.
Yeah, I think the other thing worth mentioning here for Savage Academy, John, is the Plasma Bolter being favored over the Railgun. It does lay down some pretty heavy damage, and over time, it's a little bit of a higher damage, but a little bit less effective at long range.
Light damage coming out on both sides, nothing to be concerned of as of yet. Now Cats has damage on all sides except for the rear part of the tank, but Killer Skittles taking that massive damage to the front right panel. Core already taking damage on the side of Savage Academy. That's something that he's going to have to keep an eye on. He's going to need to favor the left side of his tank going forward. And
that's that railgun doing work, effective at a long range and effective at really being that pinpoint damage. A lot of people can even look at that as a finish-off type of weapon. So far, finishing the upper right plate of Killer Skittles' tank.
And Vixel and Chai Master ran into each other twice. The communication needs to get better on the side of Savage Academy, because you can't afford to run into your other teammates. They may have a sightline that you don't have, and you just completely knock them off. Killer Skittles in trouble. That other front panel about to drop as well.
Yeah, the Chi definitely off with some movement here on the side of Savage Academy. They are starting to rotate back, though, realizing they took a lot of damage in that initial fight and trying to find some recovery behind a building.
Thonk still looking good, spreading the damage out across all of those plates. Core's still looking pretty good. Now Chai Master's core down to 60 as well. Thonk just absolutely putting down some damage from distance. And Savage Academy is going to have to play a little bit more passive. They're going to have to try to find those far sidelines. They need to play a little bit safe, since two of their players' cores are already taking damage. Killer Skittles now to 50, now to 40. Just damage after damage, taking hit after hit from Thonk.
Yeah, so far in the fight of Railgun versus Plasma, it's looking like Railgun has a heavy advantage here, already taking down Killer Skittles, sending him back to the other side of the rainbow. A lot of damage coming down on Chai Master Zen as well.
Killer Skittles the first to drop. Chai Master right behind him. Now Vix also down to 30. That entire front and front right of the tank fully exposed. Again, Thonk looking really, really good, as now it's about to become a 3v1.
Chai Master with some nice hits on a Cats, exposing the core. 72 health less on Cats' core, but he knows Chai Master Zen is now there.
And Chai's down to 20 as well. They're both one hit away. Vix is down. It's now a 3v1. And with 20 health left on the core, really don't think he's going to last too much longer. Now down to 10, now down to 0. And Thonk has taken it to Savage Academy here in game 1. We'll take the 1-0 advantage going forward.
Thonk just laying down that thick damage time and time again, John. The railguns just do so much damage, and if they don't allow the opposition to move in, they just can continue to lay it down. We see it there shredding through those front plates and then eventually the cores.
So we did see a little bit of change here in the second semifinal. We didn't see that ultra-aggressive tactic come out like we saw from Moron's Cube. We saw both of the teams stick to the tactics that really got them here in the first place, and that was the passive play, taking those high-quality shots when the open sight lines come there, landing those shots, and eventually just waiting for the other team to make a mistake. And that's what we saw Thonk do, is wait for Savage Academy to make those positioning mistakes, lay down the heavy shots, and ultimately slowly pick them off as time went on.
Yeah, and I just think overall the railgun just laying down so much damage in that fight. And we did see the Plasma Bolter come out and do quite a bit as well, but in comparison, the railgun just such a heavy-hitting weapon. They use the buildings very effectively, kiting around them to reduce the damage they were taking, but then finding ways to get good peaks to put the damage back down on the opposing team here as they do end up with that first victory.
Savage Academy backs against the wall. Have to win here in game 2, otherwise they are destined for the third place match. Thonk, one win away from a date with the #1 seed in the grand finals. $2,000 on the line in the grand finals. A massive difference there between first and second place there in the prize pool. You definitely want to win to bring home the big money here in today's tournament. And Thonk is just one game away from possibly doing just that. Going forward for Savage Academy, possibly some changes here. Maybe they need to play a little bit more aggressive. Maybe they need to maybe have Thonk on the back heel. Maybe they need to start forcing him backwards to try to get an advantage.
Yeah, I honestly think the railgun is the very big difference here. We saw them go with Plasma Bolter over the railgun. While I don't think they need to go full railgun, I think switching those plasmas out for the railgun could end up matching the strategy a little bit better of what Thonk brought to the table.
So we will definitely have to check that out as both teams are just moments away from loading in to the game lobby here for game number 2. Again, Thonk with the advantage, 1-0 in this best of 3 semifinal matchup. Both teams is finishing that loading process. Will be in game here soon. They are currently picking their tanks, picking their loadouts. We can kind of see there from that shot on screen, those side screens next to the players. It looks like the Scorpion is going to be picked once again. Really, the Scorpion's been picked all day. Who wants to play the Talon, apparently?
Yeah, I mean, the Talon does have higher mobility, but again, when you don't have those treaded tanks in the mix like we did in the group stage, you kind of lose a little bit of what that movement brings to the table. You're not able to kite around the tanks as much. So in this case, you want to bring a little bit extra armor to the table as we see each team deciding to elect into that as well. 3 Scorpions versus 3 Scorpions, and they are going heavy on the lasers here on the side of Savage Academy. Yeah,
Savage Academy trying to pull a Moron's Cubed, if you will, trying to win on the old laser front here for Savage Academy here. Thonk, though, also doubling down on that railgun. They're going full railgun as well. So, you know, obviously it worked for Thonk. They're going to try to get that win here. Again, Savage Academy is going to try the laser tactic once again, and we'll see if that actually works.
John, I hate to say it, but I don't think it's going to work too well for him. I mean, overall, what we saw when we looked at it is the railgun just brings so much damage, and while the full laser strategy can work like it did for Moron's Cubed in the opening match, a number of other teams fell with that same strategy. So unless they're going to play ultra aggressive, I think Thonk does have the advantage coming in early on this one.
Both teams out of the hangar, both teams making their way around the circle known as the amphitheater as they're trying to find where each other are hiding, using those buildings as coverage as well. We see Thonk taking their time. They're in a really good position as well with where their buildings are located. Now with Savage Academy, they're about to be in a really wide open spot, and that's going to be possibly a disadvantage there as the sightlines might be favoring Thonk as both teams finally start engaging. Cat's kind of cut out there a little bit, but has plenty of buildings to hide behind and possibly get back. Looks like 2 players are coming around for Thonk. They're looking to go for the flank play. Goof and Link Or maybe we're waiting way too long.
No,
Cats.
such a misplay coming out there, John. Cats just getting caught out so early on. The core already disrupted, very quickly played. I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to get that early peak, but in the end, John, such a big misplay.
Now Killer Skittles as well, down to 40% health left on the core. Just moments away for Thonk to even up at 2v2, but that misplay may come back to haunt them later on in this game, as now Chai and Killer have Link all to themselves to 2v1 all the way at the other end of the map, so it's a 1v1 for Goof and Vixel, but it's Chai Master and Killer on Link, and Link is down to 58% left on the core, and he's in trouble.
Yeah, Link separated there in a 2v1 situation. Killer Skittles taking some damage as well in his fight, but unfortunately for Link, the paint just keeps coming down. The full right side now exposed.
Two players bumping into each other again. Link will fall down. Goof is already in danger. 66 left on his core health as well. And Savage Academy is looking to even this one up, and they just might do that. Goof, last man standing, getting absolutely torn apart. That will even the series at 1 apiece. Savage Academy and Thonk heading to game number 3. Two different playstyles we saw from game 1 here into game 2. And it really worked out for Savage Academy in the end.
Yeah, I don't know if it was meant to play out that way, though, overall. I think Thonk was trying to get that early information to find out what side they were rotating from. Unfortunately, it ended up being the side with 1 player versus the side with 2. They weren't able to rotate back quick enough, and being in a 3v2 that early on is just not a situation you want to be in as Thonk.
Yeah, that the kind of wraparound flank play that they're kind of looking for really did come back to haunt them. I mean, you cannot isolate one of your players like that, especially if you don't have information where the other team is, because as soon as they started that rotation, Savage Academy moved straight in, and it was seconds before the first player dropped down for Thonk.
Absolutely, and they just watched Moron's Cube do the same thing. You play those lasers, and if you can corner someone out and really direct your fire on them, it can work very effectively, especially when its 2 teammates are across the map, so they really took advantage quickly there.
So it all comes down to game number 3 in this best of 3 between Savage Academy and Thonk. The winner moves on to the grand finals to take on Moron's Cubed. And the loser will drop down to play Team Trap money for the 3rd place victory, which still pays out some money. You won't go home empty-handed there if you take home 3rd place. But obviously the prize at the end of the road is that $2,000 grand prize. And Moron's Cubed sitting in the grand finals here, just waiting to see who will be joining them. They're taking notes. They're probably sitting a couple rows behind us here, Joey, taking notes on both of these teams to find out how they're going to play in that grand finals. But so far, coming down to game 3, winner moves on.
Yeah, so I think the big thing here is, does Thonk make any adjustments? Do they come out with full railguns again? It worked so well for them in game 1. It ended up working not quite so well there in game 2, as they did get picked off early. I think that was more about movement than the weapon choice, though.
Absolutely. So definitely have to keep an eye on that moving forward, and it looks like it will be the exact same setup here going into game 3. Thonk, all railguns. Savage Academy, all lasers. Everyone rocking the Scorpion here in game 3 of the 2nd semifinal. The winner moves on to the grand finals for a chance at $2,000 in prize money.
Prize money on the line, John. Quite a bit of it today, as you've mentioned before. Again, the railgun strategy and the laser strategy both coming out. We saw one work very well in favor of Thonk with the railguns in game 1. In game 2, that laser aggression, finding a way to catch out a player from Thonk ended up being the difference maker. Here in game 3, we're all even, though 1-1 apiece, but only one team moves on.
Both teams moving straight towards the center of the map. No one really kind of going around the outside. See when the teams finally identify where each other are hiding at, and they will do just that. Those massive barriers in the middle providing some shelter, as Thonk looks to be closing in as well. Savage Academy pushing up as well. This is going to be a very aggressive play from both teams here as Savage Academy starts moving in, but Chai Master taking massive damage to the left side. That back left already exposed, taking damage to the core. Link's taking damage as well, down to 67. 2 players, 1 on each team. Core is already wide open. Goof is in trouble as well. Stuck alongside an obstacle. Will finally manage to get out of it. Killer Skittle trying to put damage onto Cats as well. Chai Master still with 90 health now. 2 panels wide open. The front left for Link. back left for Chai. Now the front left for Killer Skittles open as well, taking damage on the core there. 2 players down to 90 core health on Savage Academy. 58 for Link. Massive exposure for Link. He'll have to try to favor that left side, but it's not much. He is being absolutely deleted. Down to 13 core health. It's just a matter of time. Killer comes around. He's going to try to finish him off, down to 10 health left on that core. And there goes Link. With all those panels down, it's just a matter of time. And now it's a 2v1 advantage for Savage Academy.
Yeah, Link got a little separated from the rest of the group there, and in the end ended up taking a lot of damage and losing his core as a result. We do see a little 3-on-2 action here. The lasers continuing to rain down on the side of Thonk, but Thonk returning damage as well.
Thonk landing some massive hits. All cores touched on the side of Savage Academy. Goof still looking pretty good. The damage spread out quite evenly across all of the plates. Goof is in a great position here. Wait,
it looks like Goof may have
Goof might be upside down. So Katz is trying to move around now as well. Core damage taking hits. He's gonna, maybe he might try to go over and help him out, but Goof is completely upside down. That's definitely not going to help him out. He's not going to be able to do too much there. We'll have to get official ruling on that as well to see what happens. But that's a massive advantage for Savage Academy right now.
Yeah, and it looks like they're going to move on to Katz here. Try to get the finish. Killer from the front and Shy Master coming around from that backside. The exposure's there, and the core has been disrupted. That just leaves Goof here, who unfortunately is sitting on his turret upside down, John. It is a hover tank, but it's not doing much hovering at the moment.
The 4 hover boosters are shoving them quicker into the ground. This is just, that was just brutal. Sitting there, nothing you can do. 3 lasers is pounding away, absolutely helpless. That's a bad feel right there.
Feels bad, man. We'll have to wait for the official ruling on that, with the turret ending up being the bottom of that tank in the end case there. Overall, very strong play coming out, though.
Okay, I did just get a signal over here from our production crew here. It looks like it will be a replay of that match because the tank did flip upside down. So that will be a replay there. It's just one of those feels bad moments. You don't want your hover tank upside down. You're kind of like, no pun intended because we're at the University of Maryland, but it's kind of like a turtle upside down on its shell. Yeah, it definitely doesn't help out.
Absolutely, a lot of spinning. Unfortunately, not like Mario Kart. This shell doesn't do too much damage, as it's hard to aim when you are upside down in this one. So as we load into that replay, John, overall, I think the strategies look pretty good there. Thonk came out with their same railgun strategy. The damage coming out from the lasers, though, the lasers able to really paint a lot of damage, and then the roundabout, it seems like the disadvantage for Thonk has been separating one player from the rest, really getting taken advantage of in those situations.
Yeah, this is definitely a game that you want to make sure everyone's on the same page when it comes to position. We saw that plague Thonk there in Game 2 when 2 players looked like they were possibly either going for a flank or trying to find information. It really came back to hurt them in the end. It cost them Game 2. Here in Game 3, we saw a little bit of it as well. The communication may not have been there, and the players were spread too far apart. They did try to pull it together there. I'd be kind of curious to see how that played out there if that one tank did not flip upside down. They were putting down some pretty good damage onto Savage Academy from those railguns. So it wasn't like they didn't have a chance. They just needed to land more shots. They possibly could have pulled off the 3v2. But nonetheless, with that upside down tank, we have to replay that, and maybe we'll see a different strategy here in the replay of Game 3.
Yeah, and I think the initial chase was fine. You ended up with a 1v1 situation, and you were looking for that flank. You had 2 tanks sitting there waiting to try to surprise the other tank out when they came around the corner chasing your one tank that did get caught out. Unfortunately, the chase came a little bit too slow as the damage was already laid down.
The replay of game number 3. We are loading into the lobby right now as we are heading into the amphitheater for the last game here. Game 3, the winner moves on to the grand finals. And Joey, we're seeing a little bit of a twist here. We're seeing Savage Academy stick with the lasers, stick with the Scorpions, but on the side of Thonk, I believe this is a weapon we have not seen pulled out here today.
Yeah, Thonk switching things up here and going with the auto cannon, John. Very fast fire rate with the spinning motion. Think almost like a machine gun turret in a sense. So it's going to come down. It's going to lay some moderate DPS, moderate heat generation, and it is quite long range. But, John, it has a tough time shredding the tank plating, rather.
It is a Gatling gun on top of a tank. Each tank will have 3. That is 9 Gatling guns. Who knows? Maybe they might try to do that 3 versus 1 strategy. Maybe they might try to be the ultra aggressor here, focus on one tank, take down that one panel, and go straight for the core. That's all it takes. One panel going down, exposing the core. The rest of the tank could be completely untouched. And here we go. You can even hear the difference in the weapons as damage starting to be laid out. Savage Academy putting down the damage so far onto Thonk. And the two players for Thonk, Cats and Link, already running into each other. Definitely not what you want to do there, as the aggression from Savage Academy might actually be paying off now, as it looks like Thonk is kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, trying to move around. The separation from Savage Academy looks to be paying off here, as Link is now into the orange on both front panels of his tank. Trimaster as well, that front left now fully exposed. Those Gatling guns from Thonk really starting to do some damage on the Trimaster. Both are down. Both front panels are down. Now the core taking some damage as well. This strategy might pay off.
It might, but there's damage being returned on the other side as well. Link taking quite a bit of damage. Both front panels down, and the core just dropping below 50 now at 44.
Trimaster now down to in the 60s as well for the core health. A lot of the panels exposed there as well. This one might be over fairly quick as now Cat's taking massive damage. He's going to drop first. Now 2v3 favoring Savage Academy, but Chai is at 17 health left on his core. It's just a matter of time. That back right panel is just a hit away from dropping. Link now dropping down as well at 20 for core health. It might become a 3v1 very quickly here unless they can get Chai Master down really quick. It's only going to be a couple more hits. Link falling, Goof falling as well. Now into the 50s for the core health. Link down to 6. Now he is completely out. It is now a 3v1, and Savage Academy is going to finish off Goof in just a matter of moments. Will he be able to take Trimaster down with him as well as a consolation prize? Probably not. Down under 10, core disrupted, and Savage Academy is moving on to the grand finals.
Well, I appreciate the creativity coming out there. The auto cannon going on every single weapon slot does not seem to be the way to go, John. In the end, it just ended up being an auto loss with all that damage coming down from the lasers.
It may have been a good strategy if you went full 3v1 and you kind of focused on one panel, you blow the panel down, and you're able to hit the core pretty quick. It might work, but the problem is you're not trying to hit a stationary target. It's kind of moving, it takes a lot of aim, and this is a VR game, and it gets very difficult to do that. So unfortunately, the auto cannon, the Gatling gun, if you will, just did not work in their favor. They will be dropping down to the third place match. There'll be Thonk versus Team Trap Money, but the grand finals will now feature the #1 seed Morons Cubed going up against Savage Academy.
Absolutely. So they're still not out of it yet. There's still a chance to win some money as they do head over into that third place match. But overall, Morons Cubed looking so strong today, John. Definitely the team that is sitting at the top of the list, coming in as the #1 seed and showing why.
2 more matches to go. It's the third place match, then followed by the grand finals. We're going to toss it to a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Core Disruption live here at the University of Maryland. We'll be right back.